does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
All Things Saine. Representative Jason Saine.
It's 11:06 on WSIC News Radio, and you're listening to All Things Saine, normally with Representative Jason Saine, but he is on vacation with spring break and deserving some well-earned time off. But we are streaming live on the WSIC News website, YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn. If you'd like to be part of the show, 844 Studio 4. I'm your guest host, David Coble, along with the attorney extraordinaire. This is becoming a habit, counselor.
It is becoming a habit.
You and I filling in on shows and everything. It's becoming good. Larry Shaheen, good to see you this morning, sir.
Well, we'll see if we can put people to sleep today.
Oh, well, there's no chance of getting to sleep. Changing the dial might happen, but they're not going to sleep listening to us. It just doesn't happen that way. But before we jump in, got a lot of cool stuff to talk about today. How's your bracket?
Oh, my God, it's awful.
Is it awful?
Oh, my God.
Of course you had Carolina winning as a fan.
I did. I had Carolina winning. But, I got to tell you, man, I'm happy for State.
I am, too.
There's no way I can't not be happy for State. People have said you're a bad Carolina fan because you don't hate State. I'm like, y'all don't understand. I hate Duke.
Yes.
Nothing made me happier than watching State keep Duke out of the Final Four.
Yes.
That's a happy moment for me. So, I think the entire state was like, okay, this works for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, well, that's to be fair. I know that, I grew up in ACC country. Obviously, I grew up a Carolina fan. Of course, I got broken of it and cured of it when I went to going out to UNC Charlotte. Go Niners! But which has its own pains many times. But I digress. But I understand. But here's my thing. I could never understand why people hated State. I understand why people hate Carolina. I understand why people hate Duke, but it's why? How can you hate MooU?
Well,
How can you hate
that's the
State?
thing, right? I don't think there's what State. Here's the thing. I don't think State really hated that they were hated.
Yeah.
What I think State hated was that they were not given the same level of respect as Chapel Hill.
Yeah, and that's fair.
And I think to a certain extent, there's a lot of hatred on the State fans' part of Chapel Hill and Duke.
Oh yeah.
Because of the fact that those two were considered, the top two universities in the state.
Yep.
And technically, when you're talking about the things that State does, they're the top university in the state for engineering, any type of agriculture, any type of real hard science. That's what State excels at. And Randy Woodson, we're going to talk about competition. Randy Woodson's making $2 million a year. I know that Lee is not making that. So
yeah.
We're going to talk about who the most successful chancellor in the state is. It's Randy Woodson. So it's interesting to me that State fans have this sense of insecurity to them. But again, how many times have they broken everybody's heart? How many times have they had something happen? Or the NCAA during the College World Series when they were playing baseball, it was wait, those calls were not right. Or, bad calls or bad beats, or this isn't supposed to happen. They are suffering. They have been long suffering.
Yes.
It's amazing to think they haven't been in this position since 1983. It's been 41 years.
That's crazy.
Since they've been in the Final Four.
And what's funny is that
the buffer guy. Bill Guy, the buffer guy.
Apparently, Bill Nye,
Yeah.
the muffler guy, had something to say there.
Engineer Bill, I think, must be a state fan.
Are you a
He doesn't
State
like
fan?
what we're here.
He's not happy with what we're saying. Clearly,
he's like, nobody needs to hear from these guys. But obviously, and to be fair, I love that NC State has made this run. It has been fantastic to watch. But I will say that it's UConn and Purdue are just built different.
Yeah, they are.
UConn has not had a close game.
No.
They are dismantling teams like they're not. They're just blowing through them. Tough to see anybody. I think Purdue might have the best chance because if you've got, Klingon and Udy, the big men, Klingon for UConn, Udy on Purdue's side, if they can cancel each other out remotely, then it comes down to guard play. And to be fair, Purdue can't match UConn's guards.
No, they can't.
They just can't do it.
Now
State, I'd love to see State go, but that's going to be tough.
That's going to be interesting because we're really going to be interesting to see the two big men go at it.
Yes.
The Purdue and NC State is an interesting matchup because you've got this ascendant big man for NC State who has just been absolutely fantastic against the ascendant big man for Purdue who has just been fantastic. So the question is going to be whether this is going to be an absolute zinger of a game down the middle. And of course, for those of you who are watching, we are not currently sponsored by any sports betting organizations.
No,
but
if
you would like to go and bet, there are lots of options in North Carolina, thanks to Chairman Saine and his work to get sports betting available in North Carolina. So, you got to think. This is the thing. Okay, if you're listening to this and you got rich betting State for no other darn reason than because you wanted to bet State, I need you to message this program and I need you to call in here. So there is proof that we have made North Carolinians money this year during sports betting.
Exactly. Well, it's going to be really interesting to see how those things shake out when it comes to the Final Four. I know that this is my favorite time of the year. Once March Madness is done, we enter sort of the
Are you going?
The abyss.
Are you going?
I am
You're not going to
going.
Arizona?
I am not going to Arizona. Now, I will accept a ticket and an invite. Should anyone out there have one, I will accept it.
It's going to be really interesting to see who goes. I'm really curious to see who's going to actually go to the game.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see it on. I'm sure that between Instagram and Facebook and things like that, we'll see more than a few.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to see Cooper on the sidelines with Jim Blaine sitting right behind him again. I don't think that's going to happen.
There's only so much kumbaya that can come, and I just don't think that's in the cards.
I mean, I don't think Tim will be sitting there, hand slapping the governor over the.
No, basketball can build a lot of bridges. I don't think it builds that one.
No,
but interesting enough. But speaking of Raleigh, you were down in Raleigh last week.
Yes.
And actually, we talked about it on Senator Sarter's show on Friday. A little bit about your testimony. You were testifying before the Joint Economic Development Committee, chaired by Representative Jason Saine and Senator Dave Craven. And the topic was affordable housing and how we make housing more affordable. So before we go into the break, and then we'll break it down afterwards. How did you get invited to that, and sort of what was the process of bringing you down to testify?
Well, it was more Chairman Saine and Senator Craven, specifically Senator Craven, had reached out and said, "Look, we've heard about this. We know that this is an issue. We kind of want to get a sense of what's going on and how this is impacting the housing market." So here's what we found when we did the work, and the studies are already out there for anybody to look at. National Association of Home Builders has found that 24% of the cost of every new home is attributable to regulation.
Wow.
In multifamily, 40% of the cost of every unit is attributable to regulation.
Really?
40%. I want you to think about that. They could reduce rents 20% tomorrow by just cutting the amount of regulation it takes to build these. Because no one realizes this, but I mean, when you add ridiculous regulatory time, when you add ridiculous regulatory requests, when you add things that are going to add cost but no value, that has to get dealt with and amortized over a 30-year note. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you're dealing with the fact that this is stuff that we want more green space. We don't want you to have too much density. You got to have more trees. All of that contributes to increases in housing costs. And the thing that people keep arguing about is that, we can just give money to developers to have them build more affordable housing. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's just that's just brain dead, because you're not dealing with the supply side issue. You're only dealing with, how can we incentivize developers to come beg us for cash to be able to build this? But, by the way, we're still adding to the cost of it, because then they have to add on the regulatory cost of complying with the money and the cost of what it is that they've come in. It's ridiculous. And I know we'll get into this next segment, but we really need to break down what's going on with that and why it is that government local government specifically, can't seem to get out of their own way and decide that they are, because it's hypocritical. You either believe in providing affordable housing, they're going to reduce the regulations to get there, or you're going to say that you don't believe in affordable housing. We want people to do exactly what we say, despite the fact that sometimes it's illegal. Right,
exactly. And I think, obviously this is a subject near and dear to me, given, my work and everything like that. And I see it daily in dealing with multiple different municipalities. But obviously, attainable housing, workforce housing, affordable housing becoming more and more prevalent conversations inside of our local governments, all up through the I-77 corridor. So this is an issue that's not going to go away.
No, it's not.
Right. You're listening to All Things Saine on WSIC News Radio. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with more of All Things Saine with NC Representative Jason Saine after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, it could be a messy morning commute across the area. Scattered showers, even a couple of strong or even severe thunderstorms through the heart of the morning commute. One or two of those can feature damaging winds. We'll also even have a low risk of a tornado to keep an eye on. After mid-morning, things should start to clear out. We have sunshine back by the mid-afternoons. Temperatures up into the low 70s. Much cooler and breezy with upper 50s by Thursday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. This Friday, come enjoy Birkdale's first Live Under the Oaks concert for 2024. Danny Carr and the Skeleton Crew will break in the Birkdale stage for the concert season. Bring your lawn chairs to Huntersville and come early. Music powered by Waves Entertainment begins at 6 p.m. Come out and have an amazing time in Mooresville with a weekend doubleheader. On Friday, Uncorked and Artsy returns from 5:30 to 9 p.m. featuring wine and craft beer tastings and an art walk display. Then Saturday marks the beginning of the 2024 Festival of Food Truck Series. Information is available at downtownmooresville.com. The Kane Center for the Arts hosts 4 big shows in 3 days. Thursday, April 11th, sees singer and guitarist Joni Shaw Taylor performing. Doors open at 7 p.m. and the show begins at 8 p.m. Friday, April 12th, 80s music icon John Oates performs. Doors also open at 7 p.m. with the show beginning at 8 p.m. On Saturday, April 13th, comedian Jeff Allen delivers laughs at a 4 p.m. matinee and then again at 8 p.m. Saturday night. For more information on these shows and many other programs, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Merle Fest is back April 25th through 28th at Wilkes Community College, featuring nearly 100 performers including Old Crow Medicine Show, Sam Bush, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at merlefest.org. Listen every morning to Good Morning LKN and follow WSIC News on Instagram for your chance to win tickets. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Call now to speak with NC Representative Jason Saine at 844-STUDIO-4. It's All Things Saine on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
All Things Saine. Representative Jason Saine.
We've got fun and games.
Yeah. There, I like this. Welcome back to All Things Saine here on WSIC News Radio. Your guest host, I'm your guest host, David Coble, along with Larry Shaheen.
I like this. This works out well.
I like it. If you'd like to be part of the show, 844-STUDIO-4. We are streaming live on the WSIC News website, YouTube, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. So, Larry, before the break, we were talking about your testimony. After our March Madness conversation, which I thought was ESPN worthy.
Oh, we definitely need to do more PTI.
We really do.
We need a PTI show.
We do, absolutely.
Yeah.
Pardon the interruption with Larry and David.
That would be great.
That would be fantastic. We were talking about your testimony down in Raleigh before the Joint Committee on Economic Development that Chairman Saine chairs, along with Senator Dave Craven. And you were talking about sort of the additional costs, the regulatory burden for housing, and that 24% number on single family, 40% on multifamily is a staggering number when you think about the fact that, the cost that's associated with just health and safety, right, is not even probably half of that.
Yes.
We're not talking about decreasing regulations to make buildings less safe or anything like that. We're talking about once they're safe and secured, the additional percentage of costs on top of that in order to build it. And when before the break we were talking about sort of, what are the challenges, what are the barriers to us getting more affordable housing?
Well, and I think a lot of this, if we're going to talk about what the real challenge is, the real challenge is a couple of things. But the first one is density. And the opposition to density that we're seeing, and the cost that goes into rezonings. So let's kind of dig back in and dig through that. So when you're dealing with what happens in these developments, and you've seen this, given that your work in land use and some of the things we're seeing in land use. And again, I want to preface this conversation by saying I'm not going to there's no judgment on either side on this.
Right.
When people go through rezonings, they're asking for a legislative request. It's a battle of competing ideas. So it's going to depend on who's able to have the best competing idea. So
legislators need to
get elected. So I mean, I have no qualms with local citizens saying we have enough. That's fine. That's totally fine. That's a choice. That's an absolute choice. But I'm a child of immigrants. My family came here in the early 1900s and went to Detroit, and Detroit was fine for a while, and then it wasn't, and then they moved again to come here. And my family was able to be successful here in Charlotte primarily because of the welcoming environment and because there was a place to live. And everyone always says, right? Why do you move from the north to the south? You can get double the house at half the price. That's our competitive advantage.
Mhm.
We don't have that really, because what's happening now is that because there is so many people moving here, the demand has gotten so high that the supply isn't keeping up with it. So we've got an economics problem. This is a classic issue where we have an inelastic market that is not able to expand quickly. We can't introduce any new elasticity because the issue is going to be that we're not going to be able to change the supply point. So what happens in an inelastic market when you have a supply problem? Price goes up. It's just basic economics 101. So if the community wants it to be a choice that they don't want there to be any market rate housing in the community or any denser development in the community, okay, totally fine. If that's what you really want, then don't sit there and say or have some kind of guilt about not having affordable housing. Be proud about it. Say, we don't want that here.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you talk about the supply issue and things like that. There's, we hear the concern, like you said, legislators need to get elected, councilmen need to get elected.
Yes.
And they have constituents who are screaming around here, it's about traffic.
Yeah, it's always about traffic.
Always about traffic. We can't do it. We can't do it. The roads need to catch up. Let the infrastructure catch up. We need the roads first. That's not how it works in North Carolina.
No.
DOT does not fix a road before it's broken. That's not the way things work around here. They wait for it to be as broken as humanly possible
and then fix
and then do it. The way we get road improvements inside of our communities largely in these days is through development.
That's correct.
Developers are obligated to mitigate the traffic that they cause. That gets us turn lanes. That gets us additional merge lanes. That gets us deceleration lanes on streets. That is how you get the lion's share of road improvements in and around this area.
Right.
And so when you do not have that supply coming in, your costs are going up and you're saying, okay, I don't have supply. That means my housing costs are going up. More people are now not coming in. What happens when more people aren't coming in? The tax burden on those who are already here continues to go up. The price of milk never goes down.
That's right.
The price of gas rarely ever goes down, right? Everything costs more today than it did a year ago.
That's right.
When you have a tax base that is not growing,
everything
your
goes
taxes
up.
Your taxes are going to go up. So it's like, is that extra cycle at the red light worth your taxes going up?
Well,
and if your answer to that is yes, I don't want that extra cycle, I'm okay with my taxes going up.
That's right.
More power to you. We live in a free country. But I hazard to guess most people, if you ask them, your taxes can go up or you can eliminate an extra cycle at the red light, they're probably going to say, well, I'd probably sit through an extra cycle at the red light.
Well, and that's the real issue is that, I mean, even with the offsite road improvements, this is another, it goes back to that what we were talking about, the cost of regulatory cost. That's a regulatory cost. That's an additional cost that the developer has to bear. Now, in North Carolina, you could only require road improvements directly related to the site.
Right.
Like the Williamson decision was very clear involving the city of Statesville. You cannot require them to fix a road halfway down the street. You can't do that. That's an offsite improvement that has nothing to do with what they're doing. You can't make them do that. Traffic impact analyses do work. But here's the other problem. I'll tell you a good example. There's a developer buddy of mine in a town in southeast Charlotte. He's been going through his TIA now for 8 months.
8 months for a TIA?
8 months for a TIA. You want to know what the cost did? It was originally supposed to be $5,000. It's now $85,000. Think about that.
That's insanity.
Think about that. Okay, if he's doing a couple hundred units, so it makes sense. But still, it's like, come on, guys. Like, I get it. I know you're trying to, because this is the problem, right? The locals want the state to fix the problem so they can look at their citizens and say, look at those mean legislators. They made us do it. Well, no, be honest with your people. Okay, be honest with them and say, look, folks, we can either not have any growth and you're going to have your taxes go up every reval cycle, or you can have growth, reduce your taxes every year because we've had such great increases in value. And then at that point, okay, your taxes have gone down because there's more people to share the burden. But it gets back to your point about transportation. I oftentimes like to look at folks that come to community meetings and I say, is your issue really the traffic? Or do you just not want this project? Because I want you to be honest with me. Just be honest with me. I can take it. If you just don't want the project, I can live with that. Because we now are competing about the existence of the project. If you're telling me it's just transportation, then we're making a deal. Because it's, okay, you're good with the project. So you have no issue with the product. It's the road structure. Okie dokie. how much do I have to pay to make you go away? How much do I have to pay to make you be good with this? Because now you're just extorting me. Now you're just saying, I'll be good with this once you deal with my problem. But that's not fair to our developers. You know why? Nobody should ever be held hostage. And you know who that really is not fair to? That ain't fair to the landowner.
No.
Because you know how these deals work. They get under contract. The land itself is not sold until such time as the entitlement is in place. So then you know who's getting screwed in this entire thing? It sure as hell ain't the developer. It's local mom and pop landowner down the street who has wound up sitting here for 50 years thinking, this is my retirement. This is my retirement. This is what I've owed. I've been good. I'm going before the town. I want them to give me my rezoning so that I can make as much money off of my land that I have sat on and paid taxes on for all this time. And now the new people, because it's never the old people. It's never the folks who've been here forever. It's always the people who've been here for 2 or 3 years. Who want to just get over the bridge and pull the bridge up.
Yep. Imagine if you were, and I like to put this in terms that, where people, so a lot of the people, they own their plot of dirt. They own their house, their condo, what have you, but they own their house. And what I ask people to do is imagine if, because a lot of them say, well, the landowner just needs to take less money. The landowner just needs to take less money. Okay, so let's carry this over to you. If that is your philosophy, all right, when you go to sell your house and you put it on the market, how would you feel if there was a rule in place that no, but in order for someone to buy your house, they have to clear through an administrative process with the municipality, and then they have to go before the legislative board of directors to vote on if you can sell your house.
That's right.
How would you feel about that? And then I'd wager 99.999 to 100% of people say, oh, I would hate that. That is what someone with land has to do in this day and age to sell their land.
And it's really unfortunate because ultimately at the end of the day, it's not their fault the roads haven't been built.
No.
And it sure as heck isn't the city's fault that the road hasn't been built.
No.
Let's be clear. Where it is the municipality's fault is where urban planner who's been to Communist Planning University,
and we're off.
So city planner who's been to Communist Planning University, who thinks that the land belongs to him, thinks that, oh, I need a green space. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a meditation garden? Or this little bit. Oh, by the way, no. I need you to connect to the greenway that's down the street. Oh, or by the way, I need you to build a bike lane. A bike lane. Yeah.
I love bike lanes.
Yeah, don't we love bike lanes? You know what? I don't love running over bike lanes in my car.
Yeah.
But, we've heard how our leadership in Raleigh thinks about bike lanes a couple of times. And I am the enemy. I am the scourge of the bike lane people in Charlotte. And what's funny about that is that every time that Tim Moore comes to Charlotte, he takes a funny little stick and pokes at the bike lane people. And it's like, look, y'all, I get it. Y'all want to ride your bikes everywhere. But let's be really clear. Ain't nobody riding their bike from Belmont, Charlotte.
No.
Ain't a damn soul coming down from Mooresville to Charlotte on a bike. No, we need roads.
Yes.
We need roads. And the way we get there is potentially looking at ourselves and saying, okay, are we comfortable waiting 60 years for these improvements? Or are we willing to kick in as a community and do more to be able to get this done faster?
Well, and that's the key, right? It's like if you are waiting on NCDOT and the state to fund every project.
Which it's not their fault.
It's not their fault.
Everyone needs money.
Yes, everyone needs money. And if you're waiting for that, you're going to be waiting, like you said, 60 years. So how do we address it now locally, right? Because, 90% of everything that it's all local, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day, everybody gets amped up on the state, everybody gets amped up at the federal, but it's the local stuff that impacts you the most.
That's right.
We'll talk about that when we get back. You're listening to All Things Saine. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with more of All Things Saine with NC Representative Jason Saine after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, it could be a messy morning commute across the area. Scattered showers, even a couple of strong or even severe thunderstorms through the heart of the morning commute. One or two of those could feature damaging winds. We'll also even have a low risk of a tornado to keep an eye on. After mid-morning, things should start to clear out. We have sunshine back by the mid-afternoons. Temperatures up into the low 70s. Much cooler and breezy with upper 50s by Thursday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile. And the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time. There's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheets. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Make your work easier with Eagle Rentals of Troutman and Statesville. Eagle Rentals has generators, heaters, fans, painting equipment, floor care equipment, pressure washers, lighting equipment, and lawn care equipment. Plus, Eagle Rentals has construction equipment like forklifts, bobcat loaders, backhoes, excavators, and more. Reserve online at EagleRentals.com. That's EagleRentals.com.
WSIC is your home all season long for NASCAR Cup Series racing. This weekend, it's the Cookout 400 from Martinsville Speedway. April 7th at 2 o'clock on WSIC.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Yesterday, Amazon revealed that it's removing its no-checkout shopping technology called Just Walk Out from its U.S. Amazon Fresh grocery stores. Today comes word that some Amazon employees who develop tech for brick-and-mortar stores are losing their jobs. The hundreds of cuts also affect people in the company's sales and marketing teams, all under the broad AWS Cloud Services division. We have a fresh reading today showing American businesses still hiring workers at a robust rate. Paycheck processor ADP's monthly tally of private sector job creation shows 184,000 new workers added to U.S. businesses last month. That's ahead of forecasts, the highest level since last July, and follows an upward revision to the reading from the month before. Wages rose an average 5.1% year over year for workers who stayed put and 10% for those who changed jobs. Wall Street's indexes right now higher. Dow, NASDAQ, S&P 500, each gaining more than 0.25%. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Now more of All Things Saine with North Carolina Representative Jason Saine on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
All Things Saine with Representative Jason Saine.
Insane in the membrane. Welcome back to All Things Saine.
As we talk about insanity. Transportation projects.
Exactly. If you'd like to be part of the show, 844 Studio 4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News website, YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn. So before the break, we were talking about transportation, things like that. And so obviously we don't, Larry, I feel like that you and I are not just naysayers. We are uniters, not dividers.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't simply come with problems. We seek solutions.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, well, I don't want it to seem like we're just going to complain, but I feel like that there are some real opportunities for us to address some of these concerns, and we were talking about them just actually during the break.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's interesting because when you talk about transportation projects, and you talk about, you have to look at the way it's structured, right? So, first and foremost, the federal government has imposed on us these stupid municipal planning organizations, which are just dumb. I mean, that's just dumb. So, I mean, you got all these little things, and they're the ones who vote. Every town has a person that sits on the municipal planning organization or the metropolitan planning organization, and that group has input into how they're going to spend the federal dollars. And then you've got your North Carolina State Transportation Improvement Plan, and that moves at their own pace. DOT gets recommendations from all the MPOs. And then there's a corridor cap. So the issue is that no division can spend, and then there's 14, is it 10 or 14 divisions? I always forget how many.
I think it's 14 divisions.
I think it's 14 divisions. They're, oddly enough, for those of you who don't know, history lesson, the DOT divisions used to be aligned with the prisons. Who wants to guess why? That would be because the prisoners clean the roads. Yes. So it kind of worked out that way.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
That's right. So oddly enough, that's why it was, people are like, well, why are they this way? Well, they used to be aligned with the prisons. How that worked. So ultimately, what winds up happening is that you've got a corridor cap. So only 635. I want to say it's what, like billion or something, or whatever the number is. There's only a certain amount you can spend in each corridor. We know, and Senator Sawyer has talked about this over and over again. There are $6 billion in transportation needs, and every year we can only spend about $2 billion. And every year that number for needs keeps growing. She has been a leader in finding ways to get more money into transportation projects, as has Chairman Saine, as has been our Republican caucuses. But the issue that we keep finding is that we desperately need roads. We do need a solution on some form of a commuter rail for North Mecklenburg down to Charlotte, and we need rail to the airport. Yeah, that all makes sense. Problem is, how do we pay for that? How do you come up with a comprehensive transportation plan that allows not just the towns in Mecklenburg, but also the surrounding areas to supplement the additional transportation dollars they get?
Because we're not getting it from the gas tax anymore.
We're not getting it from the gas tax. We're not getting it from the state because the state still has other, there's a lot of other priorities, and they can't just put it. They can't just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, public education, we can't fund you." That doesn't work. So there's a balancing act. So what I always tell people in development and people who want to invest in stuff and who want to do more, I'm like, well, the answer to all of your questions is money. The answer to all of your problems is money. We can fix all this with money. Where's it going to come from?
But see, I was told mo money, mo problems.
Yeah, see, it's the problem. It's the problems of implementing the money. There are lots of problems with no money.
Yes,
so
exactly.
You still got the problems, just not
Exactly.
having the money to solve it. But no, I mean, that's the thing. So the question then becomes, okay, who do we look to for examples on this? You just got to look down across the border. Go to York County, South Carolina. More conservative, more intelligent in terms of transportation. I love the jokes, the memes that I see. It's like you go from North Carolina to South Carolina, and all of a sudden you see the roads like drop off a hill. That ain't true.
No, it used to be.
That
Not
used
anymore.
to be. It ain't no more. You go across the highway at Carowinds to South Carolina, down 77, boy, you are going into a nice highway. Rock Hill, York County, all of those little towns down there, Fort Mill, they have nice roads. They have nice infrastructure. They have all the things they need. Well, you want to know how they got that? Pennies for progress. They had a plan, and their plan was, okay, here are all of the projects we're going to build with a penny sales tax. Once that's done, we're going to put together another list, and we're going to go build that. And then we're going to build another list, and we're going to go build that. And that's how they did it. They didn't do it with the state. They used state money, but the town of Cornelius is actually an excellent example of this model. The town of Cornelius passed a transportation bond. They then took the proceeds from that and went to the state and said, where can we move up? Where can we take our funding and make that funding work for 2 or 3 or 10 times more than what we did? Anthony Roberts, who was the town manager now at Huntersville, and Andrew Grant, his replacement at the town of Cornelius, and then Wayne Herron, who's at the town of Cornelius, they are geniuses at this. They are probably the best ones in the state. They understand the power of how this system works. So let's take their model. Let's apply it to the city. Let's apply it to our region. Can we come up with a pennies for progress model that works? Yeah, we probably could, but how do we implement it? You don't give it to the city of Charlotte. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
So what do? Got to have a regional governance structure. And that regional governance structure is created just like any other transportation authority with appointments from the General Assembly. That is the model that we need. The towns and counties will have 1 or 2 people, but that authority has to be run by business people. Has to be experts, developers, transportation people, and local citizens. And they need to be appointed onto that board by the General Assembly. And then what needs to then happen at that point is it becomes the Piedmont Regional Transportation Authority, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Then that organization runs CATS, right? So all the money that would be CATS goes into there. Then you also have the money for transportation is doled out to the communities that buy in to Pennies for Progress. Wait a minute. All of a sudden, we have possibly commuter rail. We have a rail to the airport. We have money for roads. Did we just solve our problem? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And it really isn't that hard, because here's the thing. tax dollars that go for soft costs very rarely have a big return.
Mm-hmm.
Transportation dollars, hard infrastructure dollars, not bike lanes, not sidewalks, not any of this other junk that is truly non-additive in terms of Rome was great because of its roads. This community can continue to grow, and we can get rid of the number one concern that people say they have. To development by fixing the road issues. And when you go in and fix the road issues, then all of a sudden, well, we're worried about transportation. Well, we're going to fix that. Okay, now tell me what your real problem is.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll find something else.
They'll find something else. But I mean, that's the thing, right? Then it's like, okay, we solved that problem. There is nothing more un-American to me than going to a town council meeting and saying, this community is fabulous and wonderful. I don't want anyone else here. That's not what we're built on. That's not what we are. Mm-hmm. Our communities are great because of the fact that we welcome people and give them opportunity. Getting here legally is important. But once you're here legally, we're not Russia. There are no barriers to entry. We don't believe in people having to give papers out to be able to move somewhere. That's not right. There has to be a sense of all are welcome, all can be here at all income levels.
Yeah. And what's always interesting to me when you talk, a lot of the people who come out and yell and, we can't handle anymore, we can't handle anymore, we can't handle anymore. You ask them, well, when did you move here?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Well, you recognize 2 years ago, there were people saying the exact same
thing about you.
They didn't want you here either.
That's exactly right.
Was that fair? Was that okay? You're here, right? And so I think that, you want a desirable community. The things that make, we have a fantastic corridor going up I-77 right here. And what makes it so great is it has been built and it has been done well. The governing structures have been solid. Nobody's perfect, but the councils and the governing bodies that have over the decades have done well in this corridor. And we are a victim of our own success.
That's right.
Right now, people want to be here. We
That's
have
right.
good schools. We have good quality of life. We have options for people that you don't have to go to Charlotte in order to get the things you need as you go up through here.
Well, that's the important part. We should be able to be a region.
Yes.
There is nothing that says, I'll tell you, the most interesting, I wish we were on video so I could pull this up and do like a Joe Rogan and say, oh, here, look at this. But no, I mean, so I was at a CCIM, that's the Certified Commercial Investment Managers, great organization. We sponsor their organization here in North Carolina, and our firm does, and my practice does. And we were at their market update. They put up a graphic, the size of the region of Dallas-Fort Worth. It is almost exactly the same size as 40 from Greensboro to Raleigh.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost exactly the same size. You could literally go from Greensboro to Raleigh on 40, and that entire area is the size of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Wow.
So let's be clear. What's about to happen? The Raleigh Triad region is about to merge. It's already happening. Okay, you're already seeing all the industrial development happening in Chatham and Randolph and all those other counties. They're going to need offices. Where are they going to go? They're going to go to Greensboro or Raleigh. So what do we have to do here in the Charlotte community to stay competitive? We have to think regionally. We have to think about, okay, Charlotte, you are a great piece of this community, but you're not the whole community.
Right.
And with all due respect, you're governed by some idiots. You are. There are some good people on that council, and there are some great people in that town and in that city council and in that city staff. But there's some idiots. You only look at Monday. Monday we had some talks about some illegal things. They like to talk about doing illegal things. But we've got to get away from this. Charlotte is the only voice in the room. It's not. And we have to be a team regionally to compete.
100%. You're listening to All Things Saine on WSIC News. We'll be right back.
Keep it right here. All Things Saine with NC Representative Jason Saine will return after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, it could be a messy morning commute across the area. Scattered showers, even a couple of strong or even severe thunderstorms through the heart of the morning commute. One or two of those could feature damaging winds. We'll also even have a low risk of a tornado to keep an eye on. After mid-morning, things should start to clear out. We have sunshine back by the mid-afternoons. Temperatures up into the low 70s. Much cooler and breezy with upper 50s by Thursday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. This Friday, come enjoy Burkdale's first Live Under the Oaks concert for 2024. Danny Carr and the Skeleton Crew will break in the Burkdale stage for the concert season. Bring your lawn chairs to Huntersville and come early. Music powered by Waves Entertainment begins at 6 p.m. Come out and have an amazing time in Mooresville with a weekend doubleheader. On Friday, Uncorked and Artsy returns from 5:30 to 9 p.m. featuring wine and craft beer tastings and an art walk display. Then Saturday marks the beginning of the 2024 Festival of Food Truck Series. Information is available at downtownmooresville.com. The Kane Center for the Arts hosts 4 big shows in 3 days. Thursday, April 11th, sees singer and guitarist Joni Shaw Taylor performing. Doors open at 7 p.m. and the show begins at 8 p.m. Friday, April 12th, 80s music icon John Oates performs. Doors also open at 7 p.m. with the show beginning at 8 p.m. On Saturday, April 13th, comedian Jeff Allen delivers laughs at a 4 p.m. matinee and then again at 8 p.m. Saturday night. For more information on these shows and many other programs, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Merle Fest is back April 25th through 28th at Wilkes Community College, featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Sam Bush, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at merlefest.org. Listen every morning to Good Morning LKN and follow WSIC News on Instagram for your chance to win tickets. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
It's All Things Saine with North Carolina Representative Jason Saine on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Are we really?
We're really doing this? Really? Are we telling the people to call us, maybe? Is that how that works? Okay. Oh my goodness.
This is going to be stuck in my head the rest of the day.
God.
Welcome back to All Things Saine on WSIC News Radio. We are still streaming live on YouTube, Facebook. Sorry, I'm all discombobulated now.
Wow.
Did Saine pick that?
Did
Saine pick? Of course he did. Of course he did.
He's punishing us.
He did. He called in and said, "Hey, throw that on there for them, just for their benefit."
Us. It's so bad.
It did. But anyway, before the break, though, we were talking about regional partnership and funding and everything like that. So, I used to always joke when I was on the Mooresville Town Board, whenever we would have, one of frequent meetings of, I guess I forget the acronyms, but CRTPO, whenever things were getting scored and we weren't getting our fair share, we thought, it's just like, you know what, now we need 101st County. We need Lake County, North Carolina, Huntersville, Cornelius. We'll bring Davidson because I think we can marginalize them a little bit. Mooresville,
you have no
Troutman.
idea. That would be. They would hate us.
They would, but Lake County, North Carolina, and it would. But the problem with that was, and why we probably, there's a numerable reasons why we wouldn't
Mecklenburg
get that.
County having to give us permission to do that.
Yeah,
Iredell County having to give us permission.
What would be really funny about it is that we would be the single highest per capita income in the state.
Oh my God!
And it's like, imagine what we could do with that money.
Well, the worst part about it is, like, this is that you bring up a very, very interesting point to all of our listeners. Y'all all realize y'all have enough wealth to influence all of these decisions, and none of y'all are given. Not a single one of y'all. You have no idea. I fundraise. I do it because I care, and you do too. And we all fundraise. And if you're listening to this and you have a net worth of $1 million plus, and you're not giving anywhere between 5 and 10% to political folks who desperately need it, you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. Like, that's the part that really drives me nuts. Like, we move and you and I move around and we do a lot of this stuff. But someone called me the other day and was like, "Hey, did you know that you've given this much money to elected officials over the course of the last year?" And I literally was like, "Oh my God, I can't tell my wife." I'm like, "Oh, she'll kill me if she knows how much money I've given." But that's the thing, right? Like this stuff isn't cheap.
Right.
And what really drives me the most nuts is that, like, North Mecklenburg has, like you said, the highest per capita income. We have an incredible. How many bank branches want to be in this region.
Oh gosh, there's a new one opening every week. It seems
Yes,
like.
because you know why? Because there's $2 billion plus in deposits that are all based out of this community, because everybody's in the peninsula, everybody's in the point, everybody's somewhere, there's all this stuff, there's all this money. Okay, with all due respect, stop acting poor when it comes time to do the things we need. Don't poor mouth me when I call you for money and you say I can only give $100.
Mm-hmm.
I did the math on on a set. Some of these guys and some of the folks in the lake make somewhere north of like, a couple $1 million a year, 5 million, 6 million, whatever. That is 0.09%. A max check, $6,200, $6,400, 0.09% of your income, not even a percentage. So like when I hear people talk about, well, we don't understand how we can fix this, and I'm like, how about you get involved in the political process? Because you know what?
And to be
on
fair,
both sides.
and involved in the political process is not yelling on Facebook.
No, it is not.
It's not yelling on Facebook.
Get people elected. With all due respect to everybody, what drives me the most nuts is that mail doesn't send itself, radio doesn't do itself, TV ads don't buy themselves, and people walking doors and making phone calls doesn't all happen by itself. The days, even when we were talking about Ronald Reagan's campaign, yes, there were lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of volunteers. What's happened to local organizations over the last 15 years? We all know our local Kiwanis clubs are suffering. We all know our chambers of commerce are having a hard time. We all know our local lodges are having a hard time. We all know that every local organization is having a hard time. And you know what? No one can figure it out. And I think it's because there's this sense of, there's just no sense of community.
Well, and I think that has become, not to wax philosophical, but I think that has become increasing. Like you and I growing up, like we were at a social something all
every
the time,
night,
right?
all the time.
Parents were, right? Parents were members of lodges. Parents were members of different clubs.
They
church,
were involved in school
community
boards.
school boards, PTA.
We were at stuff.
PTA meetings used to be busting at the seams. We go to a PTA meeting and there'd be 100 people
tons
there.
of people there.
And so as people have become, as it has become easier to interact with people without leaving your home.
Yes.
People have just taken that and say, hey, I just want to stay home. I'm just stay home. I can talk on Facebook. I can text. I can video chat. I can do that. I don't have to go out anywhere. And I think we've become so accustomed to like, I just don't want to interact with people. It's becoming much easier simply not to interact with people in person. So I don't go to clubs. I don't get involved. Yeah. And plus it's just like, well, the thought of knocking on a door for a lot of people scares them.
Yeah.
Right. What am I going to find when I knock on that door?
Well, but that's the thing, right? Like most of the time I have a great time knocking doors.
Oh yeah.
I remember you and I both, when we got into this thing, when we were first involved in politics, it was the best entry-level job.
Yep, knocking doors.
Knocking a door.
Knocking doors.
Knocking a door. There are kids everywhere, girls and guys, who are running around on campaigns, and their entry-level job is knocking doors. Some of our most successful consultants in this entire state started knocking doors.
Yeah. When I ran for Mooresville Town Council, I knocked on 1,200 doors. And it was a fantastic experience. Now you get the occasional crazy, right? I mean,
or a dog will chase you,
or something like that. But overall, fantastic experience. Meeting people where they're at, having conversations. In large part, most people are very kind, and they're just happy that someone made an effort to sit down and come to their door and talk to them and ask for their vote.
Well, there's solutions to all this. There are so many solutions that we can find. Don't just get angry about the project that's getting built around the corner.
Yes.
Say, okay, I don't like that. Fine. How can I get involved to make sure that the town is the way I want it? Because again, if we don't have competing ideas, we're not a democracy. We're not a real republic. We're not sitting here because people like to call us a democracy. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. And it's interesting because what people don't realize is that your absence in the realm of public ideas, in the realm of public discourse, in the realm of public debate, your absence is tacit consent for what's occurring. If you're not happy, show up. Find the opposition, go fund them.
Yep.
Go support them. Go be at their things. Don't just get on Facebook or Twitter and then, no, that doesn't do anything.
No.
And it's funny because we've been talking about these transportation projects. It requires courage because we're conservatives, but we're talking about making investments in our community that require money. Unfortunately, that requires taxes. It is what it is. I mean, controversial opinion. You're going to kick me off the darn radio station. I'm of the opinion that we should eliminate all tax breaks until the federal deficit's eliminated. I am. I'm of the opinion that everybody should pay more until that thing's gone. And then we need to cut government at the same time. For every dollar we increase in revenue, we have to cut on the supply side.
No.
North Carolina did that. Kansas didn't do it.
Yeah. We hope everyone's enjoyed Larry Shaheen on the show, so I don't think he's going to be back. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Representative Saine is going to be on board with that.
No, I don't think he's on board with that. But I mean, that's the thing, though, right? It's like at some point or another, we've got to get to a place where we realize that this debt that nationally, this is a national thing. The debt we've accumulated has to be addressed. Mm-hmm. And the only way we're going to address it is by eliminating what we spend things on and finding a way to gain more revenue. Mm-hmm. I never in my life thought that the Simpson Bowles Commission would be something that I supported.
Right.
But I do. And I think every common sense individual in this country knows that it's going to take a revenue fix, it's going to take a spend fix.
Yeah.
Because you can't do one or the other. It's got to be both.
Got to be both.
So when it comes to local problems, you got to do a revenue fix. We got to figure out how to get more money into transportation. And then you got to not spend it on dumb stuff. Bike lanes, stupid stuff where you're road diets, where you're actually eliminating capacity. Telling people in developments that you have to provide green space. That is not the priority. And it can't be.
And to be fair, without the green space requirement, the majority of developers are going to provide it.
Yes.
They want to sell a house, and people expect to be amenitized.
Yes.
And so the idea, no developer is going to go out there and just stack them and stack them and stack them.
Let the market,
they can't sell it. But the market will fix it. The market will take care of it. When the first developer to do it, who doesn't sell them, right, then all of a sudden starts to realize, I need green space. You talk to any developer, they understand we need amenities, we need green space, because we want people to buy these houses and enjoy living here. It's a product.
But our local planning local planning people, and then there's a lot of local planning people who are really, really great. But the local planners who went to Communist Planning University don't trust in the free market. Mm-hmm. And they don't tend to want to buy into the concept that the market's going to dictate what happens here. Because what really drives me the most nuts is that when this negativity about people who want to come in and develop. Let's be clear. They're putting anywhere between $500 and $500 million they're investing that into your community. It's in their best interest to make it the best product possible.
Yes.
There's no way that they're going to turn around and give a bad product.
No, absolutely not. But while the couple of minutes we have left here, I think that this might have been a little deeper than maybe a lot of people wanted to go. But it's such so
an important.
Pressing.
This is the most important topic for the future of our region.
Is. I mean, honestly, in the listening,
we gave everybody
area,
their broccoli today.
Exactly in the listening area in which this goes out to. This is priority, critical issue number one. And people, I hope can start to get a little bit of understanding before maybe you show up at the next town council meeting and yell at these poor people who are on the council who are only trying to do that.
It's not the staff's fault. It's not the council's fault. It's not the developer's fault. It's not the state's fault. We need more money for this stuff.
Yeah, it's a systematic issue. It's going to, like you said, it's going to require cuts. It's going to require revenue, and that's the only way that it's going to get fixed. All right, so before the time we got left, predictions for this weekend.
I think state. I want to see State beat Purdue. Now I don't know but I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see State win. I want to see Alabama win.
Can you imagine a State-Alabama Final Four?
Oh man, I think
if State wins, they might burn that tower down.
You know what? Honestly, that may actually happen.
They'll let the cows loose.
Yeah,
they'll let the cows run wild.
I was going to say, State fans don't strike me as the burn it all down type. I just doesn't. Alabama, that's a whole other conversation.
No, those poor Auburn people.
Larry Shaheen, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure. Thank you everybody for listening to All Things Saine. Representative Saine will be back next week. Have a great weekend.